Welcome to Toffee Blue View, your source for all things Everton. I'm Jerry. I am joined today by Max and a face you might remember from such shows as this one from a long time ago. David is here as well. David, how are you?
Yeah, I'm okay, thank you. I'm even. What I've been doing is waiting until the season finished, and then I'd be like right back here. So suddenly I'm not so busy anymore. No, I'm only kidding. I am really busy.
Everybody, check out David's surroundings. It's just beautiful, isn't it? It looks totally posh. I'm sitting here in a cinder block building, and David's got like artwork behind him and stuff. This is ridiculous.
You should. That's maybe later on the show. I'll show you this ridiculously big picture that we have behind us in the living room, but it's not important.
So we are not completely ignoring Max. It's just we get to see Max a lot. All right, that's it.
Yeah.
And Max knows this. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I know. David deserves all the compliments that are getting thrown his way. He's a busy man, isn't he? It's nice to see his face.
I don't know at what point it's gone from sincere to taking the piss. I can't. Wherever it is, I think I've missed it.
So let's react. Let's give our reactions to this West Ham match. If you've been living under a rock, we lost 3-1, and did not play well at all. So which one of you guys wants to start? I figured, Max, you were there. You actually entered the void that is London Stadium. All right.
I did.
Oh, and you know, how was it? How ridiculous was it? How far were you from the pitch?
I tell you what, right? I've never climbed Kilimanjaro. I haven't done any treks or hiking or anything like that. But I tell you what, I was sitting in the upper, and it may as well have been a bloody mountain. The amount of climbing of stairs that you've got to do to try and reach your seat when you're in the upper, it's absolutely ridiculous. I think the best highlights coming from the game was I was sat really quite close to the West Ham fans, and obviously, you know, back and forward between both sets of fans, and I swear to God, there was these two lads sat a few rows down in front of us. They mustn't have been older than, 16, 17, and I tell you what, they gave as good as they got with the West Ham fans the whole game. And in terms of what was on the pitch, that was a lot more entertaining to bloody watch and observe. So, you know, thank God the season's over. I think that was something coming into this game. We have something like unbeaten in our last 9 away at West Ham, and just that setup. What was that setup? I mean, as soon as I saw the team lineup, I saw 3 at the back, and I was thinking, bloody hell. You know, we tried to pull this off against Southampton, and look what happens. Look, you know what happened as soon as we kind of switched the system. Southampton ended up grabbing their goal, and I think after Sunday's performance, really, I think it just shows that Sam Allardyce hasn't got it in his locker to pull off a team that plays 3 at the back or 5 at the back or whatever you want to call it, because the defenders just got absolutely ran ragged by, you know, the likes of Marco Arnautovic and Manuel Lanzini. And I really do feel like the club just needs a complete rinsing, to be honest, top to bottom. It needs a complete shake-up. The fans are completely disenchanted, and that's really never a good sign. The way the Everton fans are feeling disconnected to the club at the minute is a horrible sight, really. There's no other way of putting it. You know, you're in and amongst all these fans, and obviously, you know, growing up and being a Blue, you see them as the best fans in the world, and to see them so dejected and so downhearted, really, if that's even a word, with what goes on. It was gutting, really, but just thank God the season's over.
So, David, do you want to pretend like you watched, or, you know, how do you want to play this?
I actually take pride in saying I didn't watch. Like, I kind of wear that like a badge of honour. I mean, I did have a genuine excuse. I was saying before we started filming that I was working the Everton ladies game, which I've seen to done a lot of over this past week, which is a 2:00 kickoff. So I could have caught the end, but by the end of the game I was working, we were already down and out by the sounds of it. Didn't seem like we were playing well when we were getting beat. But It's funny. Obviously, you never want to see Everton lose really under any circumstances. But there was something quite poetic about getting beat yesterday because it feels as though as these seasons been concluding, we feel like we've had this horrendous season, yet we're sitting in eighth, and you're looking in the mirror thinking, are we being what the media painting us out to be in this kind of, really expecting too much, demanding too much. We're talking about one of the worst seasons we've ever had, and certainly in recent history. Yet we're sitting in eighth. But I think it was nice to just put in one final real shit performance, a defeat, and just kind of demonstrate what we're all talking about here. As Max touched on, our record against West Ham's really good. We're very much a bogey team for West Ham. We should be playing up to that. Should be going there, and it doesn't matter if it's only points on the table. We should be going there and trying to win, even if it is the last game of the season. And we didn't set up to win, and it was a comfortable afternoon for West Ham by all accounts. So yeah, I think it was quite poetic that we put in that kind of naff performance at the end and finished on a defeat to end a pretty woeful season.
So I started thinking about how negative our support has been, and I think it's justified. It is. And however, I wonder if it would have been so negative if we knew for a fact Sam was not coming back next season. If we knew, you know what I mean? Think about it. All right. I feel like one of the reasons there's such displeasure voiced on social media and at the matches is because we're scared he's coming back. We're scared we're going to kind of sit in this mire that we've kind of laid down in for this season, which is just rooting down, thinking, oh, that's unwinnable. We'll just throw in whatever lineup. That's unwinnable. We're not going to do that. And then just focusing on the wins that we should be getting, the expected ones. However, I wonder if we thought as a group, you know what? That manager's not going to be back next season. He came in, made sure we were safe. I don't think we were really all that worried about relegation, to be honest. But clearly the board were, and Mashiri was. But he came in. It was not the worst. It could have gone worse. It really could have. But if we knew, like almost a Moyes type of situation, contract till the end of the season, he's going. You say, you know what, you did your job, peace out. Yeah. I just feel like that's part of the vitriol is we're scared he's coming back.
I agree with that, and I just want to say, obviously, when a new manager comes in a situation like Sam did with Everton, obviously, when he's come in, we had a good run, didn't we? How many games was it? Was it 6, 7, something like that, without getting beaten? It obviously, that is and he somehow takes credit for the win against West Ham as well, but at home, but that effect wears off, and that's not kind of like a secret. That happens. Managers' effects when they come into a side, it wears off, and it clearly wore off with Allardyce, because if you look back at some of the games where the not only the result but the performance have been absolutely dreadful, and as you say, and obviously the board were quite quick to pull the trigger of bringing him in. Hopefully they're just as quick to pull the trigger to get him out and try and bring someone in that can implement a kind of progressive philosophy that we actually want to watch.
Yeah, I agree. I think touching on your point, Gerry, obviously when things turned very sour at the end with Martinez, we had only 2 games left. Was it 1 or 2? It might have only been 1 actually. And he was sacked before that game, and it was a completely different atmosphere on that Sunday. And yeah, I always remember thinking that was a mercy sacking for Martinez, because it would have been we've seen a lot of it this year now, but it would have been really nasty at Goodison.
Yeah.
And obviously we knew he was going, and it did have this kind of much lighter atmosphere to it. And I think maybe in hindsight they should have done that. I think the main issue they might have had, I'm talking about the board, is I don't believe they know who they bring in even on an interim basis at the moment, because Unsworth has done that job, but I don't think he'd do it for a third time, no matter if it was 1 game or 10. So I think their idea was to just get over the line and get it over with, but it still doesn't stop that niggling anxiety of, is he going to be our manager next season? Surely not. But I mean, I just want to lay my cards on the table. I don't for a second think he will be.
I don't either.
So I'm not too concerned. It's been about getting this season over with for so long now.
I mean, because that's the thing you see on social media. There continues to be a lot of anger. I mean, if you just look at our we asked people for 3-word match reactions, all right? 90% of them, at least, are saying something about gravy and Sam and out. You know what I mean? And there's just such anger. Now, serious question. I mean, Roberto Martinez finished 11 twice in a row, subsequently. And however, I mean, it was frustrating to watch. I'll be honest. It was very frustrating to watch. Even though we played supposedly attractive football, it was frustrating to watch us try to crack into the box, passing the ball around, just passing it around. It was so agitating to watch. I guess the problem is we watch Allardyce, and he plays us as though we're a relegation-threatened squad. That's the way he sets up our squads. It's exactly as though we're worried. And we're not at this point. So why not go for it? And I think one of the reasons, and to be honest, I think one of the reasons he set up the way he did in that formation is he wanted to give Funes Mori a start, and he wanted to start Michael Keane. He was trying to get these guys World Cup time. Which by the way did not work for Vlasic. He's not on their provisional roster, and neither is Onyekuru, and that's a discussion for a different time on Nigeria's provisional squad. So there's that. But I think he was trying to please everybody, and I think that's one of the reasons why he's set up like that. Which sucks.
Yeah. The only thing that is annoying me with this, and I've touched on it before, and it's just become so evident over these last few weeks. All three of us, we all get the Allardyce issues. I don't like Allardyce at all. I don't think he should have ever been an Everton manager. But it's like, once again, because the scapegoat is there in Allardyce, I feel like the squad get away with so much from this season.
I've heard that before.
They've got away with so much of the responsibility. Because, at the end of the day, I understand that a manager plays a pivotal role in any side, but he's not the one on the pitch. And these lads know how to play football, and the commitment hasn't been there enough for me. So I feel like, as I've said, we knew what we were getting with Allardyce, and just some of the players, a particular few that we'll probably go on to later, have really let us down this year. And I feel like they shouldn't get away with escaping any sort of blame because we've happened to have these managerial fuck-ups.
No, I agree with that because, like I said earlier, I feel the club's in need of a complete wipeout, to be honest. Just going back to what Gerry said earlier under Martinez, obviously when he kind of come on the scene, obviously what was that 5th place finish, and we were thinking, maybe we're going to push on now and we're going to start looking like a permanent fixture in and around this top 6. And I think that is kind of the weight that's been hanging over the club, really, because if you think about it, obviously those 2 consecutive 11th places, and that was the benchmark was set really with that 5th place finish, wasn't it, really? And I think the fans expected that going forward. And obviously in terms of the investment that the top 6 have had in their squads compared to ours recently anyway, we've still got a lot of catching up to do in terms of our investment. But I think Koeman fully felt the weight of that, and obviously Undworth has tried to steer us clear of further disaster, but that wasn't to be. And as you say, with Allardyce's mentality and the club's aspirations, they're 2 complete polar opposites. And it's never, as David said there, we kind of all knew what we were getting, didn't we? They're just 2 kind of mentality clashes, and we've kind of felt the full repercussions of that.
I started thinking about Koeman as we've been talking here, and about one of the things that really failed him was transfer windows. Okay? And I don't think it's entirely on Walsh. Although I think Walsh has to shoulder some of the blame for taking on a job that frankly is beyond him. All right? Because I do think it was beyond him. So I think part of that is Walsh. Part of that is Koeman not communicating well with Walsh. But they did not get that striker in the summer, which they needed badly. All right? They didn't get enough defensive cover. They did not. That was a huge problem. And those two right there, those were big mistakes. I felt like our squad did a lot better when Leighton Baines and Seamus Coleman came back. You know, those were two things. And they happened to coincide with Allardyce, right? Right around the same time, which is an interesting coincidence. But it's interesting. I don't entirely blame Koeman on that, though. I blame Walsh, and I blame the people that appointed Walsh. You know, I think I think it's too easy. Like David, you were just saying, it's too easy just to blame one. You know, it's too easy for that, and that's too simplistic. And life is more complicated than that. It takes a lot of people to screw up. You know, we'll talk a little bit more about the players later on because we're going to be doing our player rankings later, and we'll talk about which ones we feel like maybe have let us down, and really give them some consideration so we can wag our fingers. Hopefully that make us all feel better. Really quick to talk about the rest of the game. Who played well? David, this question is not for you. Max, who played well? David's like, I played well by not going. That's what happened.
Umar?
It's the only name I got written down.
Yeah.
That's it.
As we've said, and I think we hit the nail on the head when we said it, the reason why we love him is because he's so unconventional and he's so dynamic and so all over the place, and that was our only real attacking outlet.
Yep.
We just let him run around like a madman. And
Jink Tosin did not get enough opportunities. We were just lumping the ball up to him. He was trying to hold the ball up for as long as he could. We couldn't get enough people forward. I don't really blame him. He just didn't stand out, and I don't think it's his fault necessarily. You know, Nias though found a way to be a part of the attack. Found a way. He ran his socks off, which is what he does. It's not to say Jink Tosin didn't, but I think Omar just plays a different weird pressing. You know, what I mean, he just presses differently. So yeah, I don't have anybody else that stood out.
No.
You know,
not really.
Just sad.
So. I don't know why maybe it's just to contribute to the conversation, but would you keep Nias in the summer? No. Was you, Jerry?
Max doesn't like Omar.
I'm
joking with Max. I'm joking with him.
No. It's not that I don't like Omar. It's just his style of play for me. It's just, and again, it might be just me holding the club to too high of a standard, but for the player that you know is going to shoulder the responsibility up front, or as he's been used more often as the kind of the impact player off the bench, they've got to be of a higher footballing quality than, because his touch isn't the greatest, and he's not gifted with particularly good technical skills, so. I think we need to get someone that's just of a higher caliber.
So I would keep him as the third striker. I would not keep him as a backup striker. I just want to make it clear. I feel like we need someone a little more, not really a big, like, hold-up striker. I'm talking about somebody smaller and quicker. You know, someone in the mold. I'm saying Jamie Vardy, but I don't mean Jamie Vardy. You know what I mean? Someone who could give us a different look. Someone who can maybe combine better than Omar does, but is maybe more of a quick passer. Omar just gets unconventional goals because he just runs. I have no idea how he does it. It's weird. It's always weird. But I feel like you need it. You need a scrappy goal scorer. You know, someone who just. How did he that touch? The touch for the goal, the first touch he had that set up that goal. That was weird. You know, it was perfect. But what? You know, the guy who, when the ball comes to him, it bounces like 5 yards away. You know, but he can do that. It's so bizarre. There's a reason why I think his nickname in Russia was the Lucky One.
Yeah.
All right? Yeah, I get it. Because when he scores, you're like, oh, that's just... But he does it too often for it to be pure luck. You know what I mean? He just knows how to be there. So crazy. So, yeah, long story short, too late, David. I would keep him, but not as my number 2.
I agree.
So who did not play well, guys?
Too long of a list, really.
I stuck out 2,
right.
and you're about to say 1.
Jordan Pickford didn't have the greatest of games.
No.
Particularly for that Lanzini goal. It was just, I don't know. I really got the feeling that the whole squad needs a bit of a shake-up after that game in particular, because you know if you go back to say, I don't know, say around, I think when Man City won the first league title, that was a season where we'd finished above Liverpool. We had Moyes, we had the likes of Jelavic, Fellaini, Pina, that group.
Yeah.
And we were kind of on an even pedestal to the likes of Liverpool, Tottenham. I think that might have been the year where Chelsea won the Champions League, but they didn't have a particularly good finish in the league.
Yeah.
And we weren't too far off them. And you look at how these clubs have progressed beyond us, and looking at the group, looking at the group of players that were on the pitch against West Ham there, the likes of Lanzini and Arnautovic really shone and looked the different class above them. And to be debating in my own mind whether I feel like we're kind of like that with West Ham now, it just really, I think that's enough for me to say none of the players really were good enough.
I agree. Pickford didn't do well enough. I specifically thought the Arnautovic goal, the fact that it went like over his head.
That was the one that I meant. Sorry.
It almost looked like he was like, you know what I mean? It's like he didn't actually. It was weird. He didn't see it until it was like right here, and then he like moved out of the way, which I don't expect from him like ever. Sorry, I expect too much out of him. I thought that was poor. He did not have his. He made some good saves though in the first half. I thought he saved a couple of one-on-one opportunities. That was good, but I have to single him out when he screws up too, and that happened. I thought Keane, for that on the same goal, Keane looked like his legs were just buried up to the ankles, and he had to pull them out in order to try to stay with Arnautovic when he got around him and got the shot off. It was so slow.
I genuinely don't think Keane is anywhere top 10. Not even like we're talking top 6. I'm talking top 10 Premier League quality at all. I think he is. We've given him the benefit of the doubt quite a lot in terms of saying, well, he looks better when he's with a settled centre back. But he never looks great. He just looks better than what he's been. I can't think of a time I've ever been blown away by a Keane performance. And he seems to me that he just makes up the numbers on the pitch, but he's in such a pivotal part of the pitch in that centre back role that you can't be carrying passengers. So, if there was a way we could get half our money back on him in the summer, I'd probably let him go. And I hope he proves me wrong, by the way. I hope he stays and becomes everything we wanted, but no, too many times he's just been so poor this year.
Yeah. I felt like very early, the beginning of the season, I thought he looked pretty strong.
Yeah.
I actually thought he was one of the strongest players on our squad at that time. I do not feel like that anymore. I just want to say that out loud. All right? Don't feel like that anymore. And I think it shows something about what he's got going on up here if he has difficulty adapting to new systems, like that much difficulty going from 4 at the back to 3 at the back. Because you see him struggle every time. Now,
how old is he now?
Do what?
How old is he?
What, 24?
Yeah.
Something like that.
I thought he was early 20s, but that's all I got. I'm not sure.
I mean, he could still learn a lot and come very good, but I don't know. He's been disappointing this year.
I feel more comfortable with Holgate, personally.
I do.
We can get into that later as well. A couple of more just quick things to talk about. Funes Mori played a half. I thought he looked okay until he let, Lanzini make that diagonal run behind him. He didn't stay with him, and that was Lanzini's first goal. I thought that was on him, personally. So there was that. The rest of it, he was there. He was all right. Made a good play here or there, but
another one just kind of making up the numbers on the pitch.
Yeah. And Davy Clausen played a half.
Yeah, he did.
And it's not like he put a foot wrong. He didn't really mess up, but he also didn't really do a lot. He played one ball, that diagonal long ball, and I think it went to Balassi on the right, or was it Nias? Somebody running down the right flank, and he put it right in stride. It was a beautiful ball. But that's the highlight. That's really all I got.
Yeah, I feel like he's petrified to do anything remotely something that contributes to the game. I think he's probably so worried of making a mistake and being out the fold again for another 2 months that he kind of plays within himself. He's another one that might flourish next season.
Yeah, we'll see. I think it depends on who the manager is. That's where it will start. So if he even lasts that long, So and at some point, I think we could talk about Rooney was not even on the bench. Okay, we'll talk about Rooney in our players segment, I think. But yeah, I think Max and I thought that he was possibly going to be there, maybe even get the start for his final game of the season.
He was injured, wasn't he?
Supposedly. Do we believe that?
I don't know.
I sort of don't.
Yeah, I'm not.
Whenever I hear he's agreed a deal, and he's hurt. You know what I mean? I don't know if I can buy that. So that's it for our West Ham reaction. We do have a caption contest. New image for you. And here it is. It is Big Sam hiding his eyes. So what is actually happening there? Please leave the possibilities down there in the comments, and we'll pick our favorites and we'll do a segment coming up here in the next week or two. Yeah, so that's it, guys. Let's do more. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Bye.